The following is a paid advertisement. The views expressed are the sole responsibility of the advertiser.
Put the power back in your hands. This is Behind the Law with attorney Justin Clark.
Welcome to Behind the Law. I have been excited about this show for a very, very long time. But first, allow me to introduce my beautiful co-host, as always, Makaila Nichols. Hello, Makaila. How are you?
Great.
So your job, as always today, is to ask the questions that the consumer, the people at home have. I'm a lawyer. You are not.
I'm a person.
Sometimes I might not ask the right question, and that's what you're here. You're here to speak for the person at home. You ready to do that?
I am.
Here's what I'm so excited about today. Stand your ground. You've heard about it. This is the law that allows you to protect yourself if someone is breaking into your house. At the end of the day, can you shoot them? I mean, this is a very valid question. Rajan Joshi will be here along with Muna Abraham making her broadcast debut. I'm excited to meet her. In the second part of the show, Bill Umamsky is going to join us to talk about the real psychological impacts of an automobile accident and what you can do to overcome them. Are you ready?
I am.
Quick break. Behind the Law continues. Having debt can leave you feeling helpless. I'm attorney Justin Clark. Filing for bankruptcy may give you the power to lower or even eliminate the payments that have you living paycheck to paycheck. Call me now for a free consultation or visit youhavepower.com and take back control of your life.
Managing your investment property is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Sign up at GoRent123.com. 2. Let Greater Orlando Realty handle everything for you when it comes to managing your property, from qualifying tenants to collecting rent, processing maintenance requests, and everything in between. 3. Sit back, relax, and count all that money you're making. Earning passive income on your property is as easy as 1, 2, 3 with Greater Orlando Realty. Visit GoRent123.com today.
I have been excited about this segment for a long time, have I not? I've
You've
been telling you
been
for a while.
talking about it for a while.
It's all things self-defense and the Florida rule for stand your ground. I mean, people don't know. We do not know what this means. When can you protect your house? When can you protect yourself if someone's attacking you? Who else would I ask than our great friends from the Joshi Law Firm? Rajan Joshi is here.
Thank you.
And for the first time, Muna Abraham. Hello, guys. How are you?
Thank you. Good.
Let's start generally with self-defense. I mean, a lot of people kind of understand what that means. If someone punches you, maybe you punch back. But what does self-defense mean generally?
Well, in Florida, Florida has some of the most liberal self-defense laws in the country. Basically, you can use force, justified force, either non-deadly force or deadly force if somebody's coming and attacking you. In Florida, you don't have to retreat. Some states you have to do everything possible to get out of the situation, and only then can you use self-defense. And basically, the law is that if you're in reasonable fear of bodily harm and you feel threatened, that you can use force on force.
But let me tell you something, and I think this is very important for you to know. If this comes up in your life, if the police, the detective is asking you questions about it really comes down to what you tell them at the time. And words can be used against you later. If anyone is asking you right now about whether, did they hit you first? Did they have a gun? You do not need to answer these questions on your own. You need to call the Joshi Law Firm first. It's a free consultation, all right, before you talk to anyone about this, because the words you use when you feel like everyone's your buddy right there, but these words can be used against you later. Trust me, we've seen it a million times. Isn't that right?
Absolutely. I've had cases, murder cases, where, the client explains in detail what happened. And of course, there's excitement, there's adrenaline, there's fear going on, shock. And then the detectives will sit there and question them a few days later, a week later, and then they'll be like, it was inconsistent. He said the person was, 60 feet. Now he's saying they were 45 feet. And all of a sudden they're charged with murder based on little factors. And a lot of times the detectives have made up their conclusion and they're just trying to find evidence to support it. And that's why it's very important never to talk, get a lawyer, get your story, correct, and present it. Present it correctly. Otherwise, they're going to just tear apart. And no one's consistent all the time, even if they're telling the truth.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Someone told me once that you're supposed to just like repeatedly say, "I was in fear for my life."
Well, the proper thing to do is to ask for a lawyer. The more you talk to the police, the more they're going to dissect what you're saying, and you may trip up on what you say, and then they're going to get you over there. And being in fear of your life is not in and of itself a justification. Like in self-defense, suppose somebody's coming at me with a knife, and I hit them with a baseball bat. They fall down, knife falls down, and I go over there and I say, "Well, you should never do that again." Bang, right there. I'm no longer justified in that second smackdown.
It's just the old adage, you need to ask for a lawyer, you need to call your lawyer, and before you talk, you just do. They understand that. I mean, the cops aren't going to get mad at you for saying you need a lawyer. It's your right.
And, in most situations, the jury will never hear about
That's
it.
right.
A person is exercising their fundamental Fifth Amendment right to remain silent, not to incriminate themselves. And when they start reading you those rights, everything you say can and will be used against you. That means it will be used against
exactly.
you. Do not talk.
Don't talk. I totally agree. Muna, welcome to the show, first of all. Glad to have you here. Stand your ground, certainly a hot button topic around this state for a few years now. What exactly does that mean, stand your ground?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
In Florida, it means that you do have a right to defend yourself or to stand your ground. And that doesn't just cover, your criminal case. It could also cover some civil liability. It can be used even before your trial, before you have that self-defense argument at your trial. You could have a hearing, and that is when you could argue for the first time that your stand your ground motion, and if it goes well and the judge rules in your favor, that could mean that you get released from jail. And so it's also protecting you from incarceration.
And what it is, basically, it's, you ask the judge ahead of the trial to dismiss your case altogether on, self-defense. And it's a lower standard, to prove a case beyond a reasonable doubt. The state has beyond a reasonable doubt. We just have to prove clear and convincing evidence. And let's just say the judge says, "No, too bad, I'm denying the motion." Then you get another chance at trial. So, it's two bites at the apple. So Florida has some of the best self-defense laws possible. And the one thing I love about self-defense is you can attack that victim, and what your client knows about the victim is a free-for-all. If his violent past, the threats he made, usually in a criminal trial or in a trial in general, character evidence of the victim is limited, and you can't bring out things about the victim except in certain situations. In Florida, under self-defense, if you can bring out whatever you know that could lead you to believe that person was acting violent or was a threat.
So what does this mean for the homeowner? Let's take it from the homeowner perspective. I'm in my house and someone knocks on my door and they have a gun or they're saying threatening things to me. When can I use stand my ground in my defense?
They're knocking on your door?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Or they
In
came
Florida,
through the door.
There is a presumption that if somebody's unlawfully entering your house, that they're entering to commit a great bodily harm to you. So you are justified in using self-defense. It's a presumption. So, if some, teenage kid is breaking in with a case of beer to see, your son, doesn't mean you can just shoot him. So it depends. If somebody's coming into there, breaking into your windows, coming in there, and the threat is reasonable, there is a presumption that they're coming in to commit, death or great bodily harm. And at that point, the law does justify self-defense.
What if they're coming in to break into your house, but then they're running out of your house? Is that? I'm not trying to get too specific. I'm just trying to make sure that we understand it.
The threat must be immediate and imminent.
Okay.
So when the threat, it's kind of like the baseball bat situation. If the person breaks away from the threat, and you go running around like the Old West and start shooting them, at that point you have crossed the threshold of the protection of self-defense, and now you're getting into criminal liability.
I was at a gas station the other day pumping gas. I got back in the car, rolled the window up, and someone was kind of banging on the window. And I was scared. I mean, can sometimes this self-defense go to just not in your house but in your car?
Absolutely. If somebody's unlawfully breaking into your car or your house, that presumption applies to the car as well. Or if they're trying to get you out, or they do manage to get you out of it, that presumption then applies as well. But again, it's a presumption. So, if somebody's breaking into the back window of your car and reaching in to grab, change, and you turn around and you shoot them, you may have to answer for that.
Right. What if I'm in the house and I hear something outside and someone's breaking in my car outside, but I'm inside the house?
At that point, no.
Okay.
At that point, the defense doesn't go towards property. It does go towards other people. If somebody's coming and like attacking her, you are justified in defense of others as well. Property's not so much unless you're within the property and you are feeling threatened.
Interesting stuff. How do you think our laws here compare to other states? I mean, are we a little bit liberal? Are we more allowing of self-defense here than other states?
Absolutely. In other states, they have the duty to retreat, and Florida used to require that. But then Florida said, no, that's asking too much. If somebody's running at me, I don't have to run away and try and protect myself every which way possible before defending myself. I have a right to stand my ground and meet force with force. If I feel threatened, as long as I'm legally in the area that I'm at.
Now, let's say someone is breaking into my house, but they don't have a knife, they don't have a weapon, they don't have brass knuckles. Does that change anything? I mean, I'm still scared. Someone's breaking into my house.
Presumption applies.
Yeah.
The presumption applies, but those are factors that can be used against you if the state decides to prosecute. So it has to be a judgment call, because the presumption can be overcome with the state's evidence. If they can prove beyond a reasonable doubt that this person was not going to create any threat or great bodily harm, then that presumption doesn't apply.
Yeah, I mean, I think the key is, it becomes very technical at this point with this stand your ground. I love the fact that you get 2 bites of the apple, meaning you can ask the judge to dismiss the case, then you ask the jury to acquit you. It's 2 bites at the proverbial apple. But it really comes down to these communications early on with the detectives or the police on the scene. And that's why I'm telling you, whether it is a stand your ground, a self-defense issue, or any criminal issue, every time, look, we all love police, and we need police. We love detectives. We love what they do. We really do. But anytime that they're calling you, asking questions, they're going to act like you're a witness. They're going to act like you're their buddy. But at the end of the day, they're trying to figure out, okay, who committed this crime? And they have a lot of cases going on. They have a lot of cases. They want to solve these crimes. And once they have in their head that you did it, they're going to charge you. And that's why if you are charged with a crime or the police or detectives are calling you, my advice is that you don't really want to talk to them. You want to call the Joshi Law Firm first. The phone number is right on the screen, 321-282-1055. Literally, they're standing by right now. You can call them right now. We will connect you with them immediately. Great job as always.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Muna, thanks for coming in. Great to meet
thank
you. And hope to see you guys next week here
Thank
for
you.
some more interesting stuff. What do you think?
I loved it. I learned
a
a
little bit better
lot.
now? I learned a lot too. Here's what we're going to do. Quick break. When we return, Bill Umamsky comes. You see the billboards about, I got this settlement or that settlement. But what does that auto accident or personal injury do to you psychologically? And how could you possibly make that challenge in your life a positive in your life? It's all just ahead.
Excellent attorney, by the way, too.
You like Bill, I
Yes.
know. Behind the Law continues. Does student loan debt have you spinning out of control? You are not helpless. At attorneys Justin, Clark and Associates, our goal is to lower or even eliminate your monthly payments. Call me today or visit youhavepower.com and take back control of your financial life. Makaila and I are here at Pontoon Landing Resort and Marina, the best kept secret in all of Central Florida. Would you not agree?
Oh, it is.
Chris is here, the general manager. This is old Florida here. This is a secret. This place is beautiful. Great rooms, great suites. If you want to spend the weekend, spend a week here. But also a lot of great things to do here during the week, Chris. What all do you offer?
So we have river tours. We have pontoon boat rentals, brand new pontoons. We have, you stay in the
Beautiful
rooms.
place. What about the river tour? I mean, we have manatees literally right outside the boat here. You do river tours, right?
Yeah, we do 2 of those, 10 and 1.
Yeah.
Wednesday through Sunday. And it's a tour all the way around Pontoon Island, go by Blue Springs.
This is old Florida at its finest. Door to door for me, from my house, 45 minutes. I think downtown Orlando, an hour.
Yes.
Yet you feel like you're in a totally different world. How do you describe this setting?
a place like no other. This is so unique, and there's not very many places like this anymore.
You totally upgraded the rooms and suites. They're beautiful, stunning, in fact, very comfortable. How do you describe the rooms and suites here?
You know, they've gotten a lot of love in the last year, and it's wonderful. And we're continuing to make that investment in Pontoon to continue to keep it as a place like no other.
And you can rent this boat here. The boats are brand new, but think about the rooms and suites too. They're all so unique. This is not a cookie cutter type place to stay.
No, it was designed as a fish camp, and it, all the rooms are very unique. So it's not like a big hotel where you have a bunch of these cookie cutter rooms. Yeah, they're all unique.
The dockside deli is awesome. We're building a tiki bar. We have beer. This place is unbelievable. I'm so impressed with what you have done. Chris, congratulations on what you guys are doing here and continue to do. And I've got to tell you, if you have not been out to this area, you're making a mistake. Pontoon Landing Resort and Marina, 45 minutes from my house, not more than an hour from yours. Come out and check it out. Welcome back, and we talk about personal injury in this market all the time, probably the most saturated personal injury market and maybe in America, honestly. But what we don't talk about is what does it do to you mentally when you have this automobile accident or a slip and fall? What does it do to you mentally, and how do you overcome that, or how can you even take that and use it to your advantage? Bill Umamsky, you were referred to as an excellent lawyer before, and I tend to agree with that. Welcome to the show, Bill. How are you?
Thank you for having me on.
We see these billboards with these big happy faces. I got $1 million, I got $500,000. The faces you normally see with your clients aren't so happy when this first happens. Describe your client when they come in after a bad auto accident.
Yeah, it's devastating. I think a lot of people reach out to lawyers because they do see the money, right? So they come to you for compensation initially. And when I see them when they come in, they're typically not the smiling person on the billboard, right? They're not winning anything. They've lost a lot of stuff. But quite frankly, Justin, they've lost a lot of stuff before they came in. They have not had a grip like many of us on life in general. And so they come in feeling like victims, essentially, to be very frank with you.
Sure. And then you have been able to, almost miraculously, and you don't hear other lawyers talking about it, you try to almost coach them in some way, almost be a life coach to your clients, which you don't hear that often. But tell me some stories about clients you've had who were victims, and you help them use this to their advantage.
Yeah, it's a hard story. I mean, my dad used to tell me when I was younger that I wouldn't amount to much except that I might be a religious figure or a coach. And later in life, as I've practiced for 30 years, I started realizing my role was not as a lawyer, but more as a coach or a mentor. And I think what happens for me is that when I have these people that come in, they are in a stage of their life where they feel downtrodden, beaten up by life, and they think that somehow the accident is going to get them the money that's going to change their entire existence. And that's not always the case, because I think you know that we know a lot of people who have money who are not happy.
That's right.
So we take a functional approach where I look at things from like three things, like how can I help this person spiritually, how I can help them emotionally, and how we can help them physically get through this. And not just the accident, but more how they can use this experience that they're going to have, which is going to be painful, it's going to be hard, it's going to be tedious, but how to move them forward to a better projection of how they look at things, and they could take more of an active role being proactive in their life.
You know, when you have clients come in, and it makes me a little bit nervous. Let's say someone goes to Las Vegas and they don't have a lot of money left, and they say, I'm just going out there to make enough money to pay the electric bill. Where I'm going to Vegas to make a certain amount of money, and then we'll be okay. That's dangerous. But you must have clients that roll in and say, all right, Bill, I just need you to get me enough to pay off my house or allow me to live for 3 years. That's a dangerous mentality to go into this with.
You know, that's really interesting, because when I first started my practice, I was insistent on not telling them what they'd be able to use their money for. You gotta be careful, we're not financial advisors, or what they could expect to get out of their cases. I look at it differently now. I think that while I don't have the conversation about money, I talk, because people come to you with the focus on money, I use that as a gateway, I think, initially to get them to a point where they want to talk about other things. So oftentimes you mentioned that about the house, in fact. Obviously, if someone's coming in a small injury, you're not talking about paying off their mortgage. But if someone comes in on a relatively serious injury and there's a lot of insurance coverage, I do ask them, what would you like to use the money for? Before we even get to the stage of litigating or fighting the case or settling the case. And in those answers, I start putting the pieces to the puzzle together about what they're really looking for.
Sure.
Some cases it is that security. When someone says they want to pay off their mortgage, that's usually saying, I want to be safe. And then we use that during the course of the case to build and have them feel safe and secure. Does that make sense?
It does, but I think that's what separates you as well from a lot of the other attorneys in this market, is that, first of all, after 30 years, you're comfortable enough to have these conversations with your clients. And number two, it means that you care at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's tricky though,
Right.
because we're talking about money, and that can get very, very tricky, but there's also other aspects to it. You have people that come to you, they're unhealthy in the first place, and this is maybe not be a popular topic, but they come in, they don't feel, they were not people that were in shape, or they took bad care of themselves, they got into an accident, and so they don't want to blame the car accident for everything now. And we use that as an example of getting them to talk about physical health, which could be very, very tricky. Because you have someone coming to you injured and you're bringing up to them, listen, it's important to use physical therapy, but you should also have an eye to proactive recovery and getting yourself in shape. When you have a herniated disc, for example, if you gain a lot of weight or you have a lot of weight, it's going to be really, really hard for you to recover.
See it all the time. I love what you've done with your career, and you have no problem. I don't know how much mentoring you do to other lawyers, but I hear other lawyers talking about you being a mentor to them. I don't know if you do it purposefully or not, but you have become that. You created this awesome group called the Lawman's Lounge. Tell me about that in a podcast too, I believe.
Yeah, so I know I have a lot of friends in town, and I became a mentor because I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to monetize the podcast.
That's what people like about you, though, is that you're going to say exactly what you think.
Relatable.
And maybe, but I think mentorship is important so that people don't make the same mistakes that I've made. I think that I still make the same mistakes, but having that podcast is geared towards lawyers who want to develop their business, develop their relationships in their community and their family.
Well, that's why I had you on today, because I wanted to get an invite to the podcast, of course. It was very, very selfish reasons. No, I'm just kidding.
Makes sense.
That is not why.
Well, you
I'm
know
kidding,
him
I'm
better than
kidding.
me, but actually we try to work the podcast out.
He did invite me before, and something happened. My people and his
I
people,
screwed
they
up.
didn't connect.
No,
I don't know what it was.
I don't have my people. It's just me, and I screwed up. I should have gotten you on.
And something you don't talk a lot about, but you deserve to have people talk about, is your foundation. Makaila has a foundation very near and dear to her heart, the Second Chance Foundation. Tell me about it.
So I was thrown out of 3 schools when I was younger.
Is that right?
Yes, I had lots of problems. I was never really focused on anything except I hated authority. And I was very, very blessed to have some mentors in my life that got things changed around for me. So we have a foundation. Everyone deserves a second chance, and it's called the Second Chance Foundation of Florida. I donate to it. I have friends that donate to it, and what the goal is to give people who have a 3.0, but also have to really write a good essay on what a second chance means to them.
Really?
And because I look at my kids are pretty successful. They were given a lot of things, and they're hard worker. They worked full time in college, but they had 2 parents that were there. And so when I looked at my kids and looked at my background, one of the best things in life is being able to help children, but they really got to want it. And there's those, immigrants that come over, all kinds of kids that they have so many hardships.
That's right.
And they know what a second chance is. So.
Normally I would say, Bill, what separates you from the other lawyers in town, the other choices that people have, but I think that the last 10 minutes has really told the story about Bill Umamsky and how you are different, how you care, and how you're really going to be involved in, in these people's lives. It's not just, okay, how much money can I get you? Keep up the good work, brother. I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it very much.
We'll see you on the podcast soon, I hope.
Yeah.
She'll come on too.
No,
how is that?
You're amazing. I love what you're doing to give people a second chance and mentor them.
Yeah, forget him. We'll just get you on the podcast.
Right.
That's fine, whatever. Bill Umansky, thank you so much. One last quick break. When we return, what did we learn? Behind the Law continues. Here with Rajan Joshi. He is the founder of the Joshi Law Firm, our go-to for all things criminal defense, the place that literally we refer our criminal cases to. What I love about your firm is there is no case too small, but more importantly, maybe no case too large for you.
Yeah, thank you, first off, for having us. Yeah, our firm is equipped to hire any type of criminal defense case, whether it's federal, state, murder, racketeering, a DUI, or simple petty theft. You know, we have the infrastructure and the manpower to handle it.
Free consults, which is always a great thing if someone's charged with a crime, but also maybe you should call before you are even charged. If the cops are calling you, should you talk?
Absolutely not speak to the police officers. The most important thing is if you're suspecting the crime, is call an attorney. A lot of times we can quash it and avoid people from going through the hardship of an arrest and criminal charges.
Keep up the great work.
Thank
if you are charged with a crime or the police are calling you, do yourself a favor, call the Joshi Law Firm today. One of the most important decisions you're ever going to make.
Having debt can leave you feeling helpless. I'm attorney Justin Clark. Filing for bankruptcy may give you the power to lower or even eliminate the payments that have you living paycheck to paycheck. Call me now for a free consultation or visit youhavepower.com and take back control of your life.
I learned a lot today. I really did, because I didn't really understand. I know I'm a lawyer, you're not. I don't really understand the stand your ground law and that you get 2 bites at the apple. What did you learn today about it?
I mean, I've heard a lot about that law, but it's just kind of crazy to me. Like, if someone's retreating, like, I get that. Like, don't attack someone that's running away from you. Makes sense, honestly. Yeah. But I learned about that, and Bill is awesome. I think it's great that he does a lot of mentoring, too. It's so important.
He is. He's sort of the OG around here. Even though he looks young, he really is a mentor to a lot of the lawyers here, but he really cares and he really gives back. I think your foundation should certainly connect with his, because it's you're both doing the Lord's work for sure.
Trying.
As always, Makaila Nichols, excellent work today. We'll do it again next week, I hope.
Yes.
Most importantly, thank you for joining us every week here on Behind the Law. Hit record series now if you don't mind, and we'll see you next week for more Behind the Law. It's been a really weird time for landlords over the last couple of years. Tenants have been a little bit angry. I think if you're a landlord, you need a property manager. The best one I know is Greg Mann. He happens to be here with me today. Greg, how are you?
I'm great, thanks. How are you?
So let's say I'm a landlord and I'm trying to make the decision. Do I want to handle this myself or hire someone like you who is a property manager who does it all? What goes into that decision? Why hire a property manager?
Well, it's quite simple. It's one of your biggest assets. And let me ask you a question. If you want heart surgery, do you employ a brain surgeon?
Yeah, no.
So employ a property manager. It's very difficult. It's complicated. It can be complex. You can be sued. You can leave yourself wide open for many, many things. We know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it.
What do you do for me as my property manager?
Well, I'll make sure your property's rented, it's maintained, kept clean, and re-rented, and make sure you get your money.
And then monthly, some things can come up. Maybe something goes wrong. You're right here to solve all those problems between you and the tenant, or between you and anything that happens.
Yeah, we're your cushion. So, problem at the house, tenant calls us, they don't call you. You're on vacation, enjoying yourself, we fix whatever problem it is.
How do your relationships with your vendors work, and how does that help me as my property manager?
We have, every vendor is licensed and insured. Every vendor has a 30-day pay cycle, so I don't need money up front from you. And they work very, very closely with us. We've used them for years.
Yeah. If you are a landlord, you have rental properties, do yourself a favor. Call Greg Mann right now. Do not do this on your own.
Having debt can leave you feeling helpless. I'm attorney Justin Clark. Filing for bankruptcy may give you the power to lower or even eliminate the payments that have you living paycheck to paycheck. Call me now for a free consultation or visit youhavepower.com and take back control of your life.
The proceeding was a paid advertisement. The views expressed were the sole responsibility of the advertiser.